My shoulders have been hurting for weeks. I thought it was just sleeping wrong or stress. But you've taught me that the body speaks the language of belief. So what is my shoulder trying to tell me? And how do I listen?
Well, first of all, your shoulder isn't broken, and it's definitely not suffering from some random mechanical failure, you know?
Right, it feels broken though. I mean, the pain is very real.
Oh, the pain is absolutely real. But it is doing exactly what you have instructed it to do. You're carrying a weight, you have this specific belief about your responsibilities, and, well, your cellular structure is desperately building physical armor to support that load.
Wow. Physical armor. That's an intense way to look at it.
It is, yeah. But to understand how literal this translation is, we have to look directly at the framework from our source material. In Chapter 6, there's this profound statement. Let me read it exactly. The cells of your body react to each thought you think.
Okay, wait. The cells of your body react to each thought you think.
It changes everything. And then right after that logic, moving into Chapter 7, we get the mechanism to actually navigate this biological reality. The quote is, impulses are the voice of the inner self, directing you toward your greatest fulfillment.
Impulses as a voice. Okay, so we're talking about the body and the inner self today.
Exactly. Our mission for this deep dive is to help you, the listener, explore your physical body not as some static machine, but as a living, breathing sculpture of your deepest beliefs. And we're going to figure out how your natural impulses serve as your inner self's GPS system.
I love that. A living sculpture. But I want to go back to that first quote, about the cells reacting to every thought. I mean, we all kind of understand basic psychosomatic stuff, right?
Sure, like stress causing an ulcer.
Yeah, exactly. Cortisol spikes, you get sick.
Yeah.
That's just accepted medical science at this point.
Yeah.
But this material, it's proposing something way more extreme.
Oh, absolutely. It's an extreme literalism. It goes way beyond just stress responses. It's suggesting a literal architectural relationship between thought and flesh.
Architectural. So it's not just a reaction, it's a construction.
Right. It completely upends that whole mind-body split we've been taught. The idea that the mind is just a ghost floating around inside a meat machine. Chapter 5 introduces this amazing concept of constant creation.
Constant creation. So the body isn't just made once and then slowly falls apart?
No, not at all. That's the fundamental error we make. We look at our bodies or a table or a chair, and we assume it's this continuous, solid object that just wears out over time.
Which is exactly how I've been treating my shoulder. And how we treat chronic pain in general, like a car that's just got too many miles on it.
Right. The brake pads wear down, the alignment goes bad.
Yeah, you just have to manage the decay. Take some painkillers and hope for the best.
But Seth's philosophy says the physical universe, and that includes your flesh, is actually a dynamic, fluid event. It is literally blinking off and on.
Like blinking, like a light bulb.
Kind of, yeah. The body is constantly being recreated, cell by cell, moment by moment. There are these microscopic intervals where the atoms of your form completely retreat into non-physical reality.
Okay, that sounds wild. They leave physical reality.
Yes, they retreat, they gather energy and the blueprint of your current beliefs, and then flash back into physical manifestation. You are completely maintaining and replenishing your physical form every fraction of a second.
Based on my beliefs.
Yes, both the conscious and subconscious ones.
So the physical permanence of my shoulder, the fact that it hurts every single day is actually an illusion. It feels solid, the pain feels permanent, but you're saying it's actively being dismantled and reconstructed millions of times a minute.
That is exactly what I'm saying. And Chapter 6, the body of your beliefs, really gets into the diagnostic side of this, because the body is this highly symbolic biological language.
Okay, so it translates the psychology into flesh. Let's talk about that mapping, because you mentioned my shoulder earlier.
Right, so let's look at the shoulder. In this framework, shoulders are literally the structural mechanisms for bearing loads. So chronic shoulder tension, when it's not from an acute injury, often reflects a literalized belief of carrying too much burden.
Taking on the weight of the world, basically.
Exactly, assuming responsibilities that just aren't yours to bear.
Man, that hits so close to home right now. I've been dealing with all this stuff at work, trying to shield people from fallout, plus some family drama. I literally said to a friend yesterday, it's all on my shoulders right now.
And your body consciousness hears that. It is this loyal, unconditionally loving executor of your conscious directives. It doesn't analyze the metaphor,
Doesn't get sarcasm.
No, it has no filter for hyperbole. It just says, understood. The conscious mind believes we are bearing a massive, unnatural load. We need to reinforce the musculature.
So it crystallizes that psychological tension into physical tension.
Yes, to brace for the impact. And the pain you feel is the friction of that unnatural reinforcement.
That is fascinating.
Hmm.
Because if I look back, my ailments have always mapped geographically to my emotional state. Like a few years ago when I was dealing with terrifying financial insecurity, my lower back completely gave out.
Oh, the classic lower back
Yeah.
issue.
I sneezed and I was literally on the floor for 3 days. The doctor just told me I had a weak core.
Well, the sneezes was just the biological excuse, right? The lower back is the structural foundation of the human body. So when we have chronic issues there, it frequently reflects a deeply held belief about a lack of support.
Wow. Lack of support, financial, emotional.
Exactly, or structural. You felt unsupported, and your cells organized your lower back muscles into a state of collapse to mirror that.
What about digestion? That's another huge one. People say, I can't stomach this.
The symbolism is incredibly direct there, too. Your digestive tract is meant to break down reality, extract nutrients, and eliminate waste. So digestive issues often reflect an inability to stomach a situation.
Like a toxic workplace or a bad relationship.
Yeah, an inability to properly assimilate your daily experiences. The psychological rejection of reality maps directly onto the biological rejection of food.
That puts so much responsibility on the individual. It kind of removes the comfort of just being a victim of bad biology.
It does. It requires radical responsibility.
But wait, if I follow this logic to the extreme, what about viruses? I mean, it's one thing to say my stress caused my shoulder pain, but infectious diseases, in the way toward health, how does the material explain a virus? Because science says those are external invaders.
That is the most common resistance to this material, for sure. The medical model is entirely built on that external invader premise. But the source material challenges this directly. Seth says illness is never an external invasion.
Never. Even a virus.
Even a virus, viruses and pathogens are always present in the body and the environment. We live in a soup of microorganisms. But illness is actually an intimate communication from the inner self.
But communication, not an attack.
Right. It's often a biological protest. A virus is a mechanism the body uses to enforce rest, or to force you to retreat from a situation that is psychologically destroying you. It's an attempt to restore balance.
So if I have a symptom, I shouldn't just treat it physically. I should ask what belief it's expressing.
Emphatically, yes. If you only treat the physical symptom, if you just ice your shoulder or swallow an antacid, you're silencing the messenger. The physical body just displays the crystallized results of your beliefs.
Like a printout.
Exactly like a printout. And if you don't like the printout, treating the body is like putting whiteout on the paper while the computer keeps sending the same corrupted file.
Okay, so that brings us to the biggest question. How do we change the software? Because my beliefs are deeply ingrained. If my body is just a map of where my beliefs have already been, how do I navigate out of the pain?
This is where we shift into Chapter 7. If the body is the past and present, impulses are the forward-looking guidance from the inner self.
Impulses, that word has a lot of baggage.
Oh, completely.
Yeah, like when I hear impulse, I think of snapping at someone in traffic or, I don't know, impulse buying junk food. We're taught to control impulses, not trust them.
And that societal conditioning is exactly what causes the disease in the first place. We're taught to deeply distrust our own nature. But the material differentiates between a true inner impulse and a fear-based reaction.
Okay, so how do I tell the difference?
You have to learn the physiological markers. A true impulse stems directly from the inner self, and it's always meant to help the organism thrive. So it feels expansive. It feels joyful, curious, maybe a little scary, but in a thrilling, growth-oriented way.
Like a nudge towards something better, opening a window in a stuffy room.
Exactly. A breath of fresh air. A fear-based impulse, which is really just a reaction, feels totally different. It feels contractive, it feels urgent, restrictive, tied to survival panic.
But you have to do it right now or you'll die.
Right. So the urge to lash out in anger isn't a true impulse. It's the pressure valve exploding because you've ignored dozens of smaller true impulses to set boundaries earlier on.
Wow. So the destructive urge only exists because the natural constructive impulse was blocked. That completely reframes human behavior. We are inherently constructive.
Yes. And to truly understand the cost of blocking that energy, we have to look at a living example. We need to talk about Jane Roberts, the author of this material.
Yeah, I think this is crucial because we're talking about all these high-level metaphysical concepts, and it's easy to sound preachy when you're healthy. But Jane channeled this while dealing with a really severe physical condition, didn't she?
She did. She suffered from severe rheumatoid arthritis, It eventually confined her to a wheelchair. It was her body's loudest, most desperate communication.
And from what I understand, for years she saw it as an enemy. She tried to fight it with sheer willpower, which honestly is what our culture praises. We love people who battle their illness.
We do, but Seth helped her see that the arthritis was a direct message about her core beliefs. Jane was brilliant, but she held this rigid belief that the physical world was a dangerous trap.
A trap.
Yeah, she believed her creative, spiritual self was constrained by flesh. And look at where her symptoms manifested. Her hands.
The instruments she used to write.
Exactly. Her hands were locked in pain because she believed her ultimate creativity was blocked or even dangerous. She had this punishing work ethic.
Man, I relate to that work ethic. I'm the guy who gets an urge to step away from my laptop for 10 minutes to sit in the sun. And I immediately guilt trip myself. I'm like, you haven't finished the work? Sit down.
That is exactly what Jane did. She would get these small, natural impulses, an urge to take a break from her desk, to go for a walk in nature, just to read a detective novel for fun.
And she ignored them.
Habitually. She punished herself with the belief that she should constantly be producing. She thought those impulses were frivolous distractions from her serious spiritual work.
But Seth told her otherwise.
Seth taught her that following those seemingly frivolous impulses was a crucial part of her creative process and her physical healing. Those small desires were just the inner self saying, recharge here.
So when she shifted that belief and started following those impulses, did it help?
It did. When she allowed herself to write freely, to rest without guilt, her physical symptoms actually eased.
Okay, but I have to push back a little here on behalf of the listener. Because honoring an impulse to read a novel sounds great, but we live in a demanding society. We have mortgages, bosses.
Of course.
If I have a true expansive impulse to take a nap at 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, and I follow it, I could get fired. Our culture demands constant productivity. How do we reconcile that?
That is the ultimate friction. And it's exactly why cultural beliefs literally create mass physical stress and illness. We're tearing our biology apart to fit into an artificial clock.
So society is fundamentally out of alignment with our biology.
Completely. And until society shifts, we have to find ways to honor the inner self within the structures we have. Which brings us to the application. How do we actually do this?
Yes, let's pivot to that, because I want to know exactly what to do about my shoulder today.
Okay, we have two connected practical techniques that you can use immediately. The first one is called the body scan conversation.
Body scan conversation. How does that work?
You lie down or sit quietly, bring focused, non-judgmental attention to a body part that feels tense or painful. For you, it's the shoulder.
Okay, so I just focus on it. No judging.
Right, drop the antagonism.
Yeah.
You aren't trying to fix it. You just silently ask the body part, with genuine curiosity, what belief am I holding that you are expressing?
What belief am I holding that you are expressing? Or can I just ask what message it has?
Yes, what message do you have for me is perfect. But here's the key. Do not expect literal words in English to pop into your head.
Good, because a talking collarbone would terrify me.
Exactly. Instead, expect a feeling, a sudden image, an intuitive insight, or maybe a childhood memory. Just the act of respectful inquiry begins to shift the physical response.
But how does the body actually communicate that memory or image back to me?
Well, there's a perfect quote from The Nature of the Psyche that explains the mechanism. Let me read it exactly. The inner senses are the channels through which the inner self perceives and communicates.
Inner senses. Wait, can you clarify that? What are inner senses?
Think of them operating just beneath your physical sight and hearing. They deliver vital data from the inner self directly to the conscious mind. And that data often arrives precisely in the form of these small impulses, body sensations, or sudden intuitive images during your body scan.
Okay. So it's an internal translation system.
Exactly. Now, the second technique is called the small yes.
A small yes. I like the sound of that.
It's very simple. Today, I want you to notice just one small, harmless impulse.
Like stretching.
Yes, a desire to stretch, to call an old friend, to take a different route home, or eat a specific food. And the action is act on it if it's physically possible.
So if I want an apple, I just go get the apple, even if I'm in the middle of an email.
Yes, because that small action begins to rebuild the fractured trust between your conscious mind and your inner self. It proves you are listening again.
Okay, so I'm doing the body scan to understand the belief and the small yes to rebuild the trust.
You've got it. And to help you integrate this, we have a specific 24-hour challenge for you.
Okay, listener, get ready. What's the challenge?
It's broken into two parts. Part 1, do a 2-minute body scan conversation with one specific area of your body.
This 2 minutes.
Just 2 minutes. Ask the question and listen without any rigid expectation of how the answer should arrive. And part 2, follow one small impulse today.
Just one small yes.
Yes. And notice exactly how it feels in the body to honor that inner nudge. Write down what you did and the result, even if the result is just, I took a nap and felt better.
I am definitely taking this challenge because going back to my opening, I realized treating my shoulder with ice packs just isn't enough anymore.
It's only treating the surface.
Right. I need to sit down tonight, ask my shoulder what heavy burden I'm carrying, and actually listen to the inner sense responding. It's time to stop fighting my body.
That is the whole point of this deep dive. Your body is on your side. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final lingering thought to mull over.
Lay it on us.
If your body is a living, breathing sculpture of your beliefs, constantly recreating itself cell by cell, what masterpiece are you silently instructing your cells to carve tomorrow?
Wow. What masterpiece are you carving? That is incredible. Thank you for this. Listener, trust your impulses, ask the questions, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.
Trust yourselves. See you next time.